Hello, and welcome to the Lakeville Area School Board Candidate Forum, brought to you by the Lakeville Chamber of Commerce. I would like to welcome those in the room and those watching via live stream and through rebroadcast. The Chamber is hosting 3 candidate forums this year, one for Lakeville City Council, one for Lakeville ISD 194 School Board, and a joint forum for Senate District 57 and House of Representatives Districts 57A and 57B. We'd like to thank the City of Lakeville for the use of City Hall for all 3 candidate forums, as well as live streaming and rebroadcasting the recordings throughout this election season. I am Brian Knapp with M Health Fairview Ridges Hospital and a member of the Lakeville Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. I will serve as tonight's moderator. The timekeeper for tonight's forum will be Colleen LeBeau of LeBeau & Associates RE/MAX Advantage Plus and a Lakeville Chamber Access and Issues Group member. It is the mission of the Lakeville Chamber of Commerce to serve as the advocate, resource, and leader for our members and the business community. As such, we conduct these forums each election season so that you may get to know the candidates who would like to represent and serve our businesses and our residents. We invited all 7 Lakeville School Board candidates to join us for this forum, and we're happy all of you are here. So the candidates in attendance who have been seated by random draw from my left are Andy Lundblad, Kim Baker, Bree Schindley, Brian Thompson, Carly Anderson, Marilee Jager, and Kathy Lewis. Thank you all for your desire to serve and for participating in this forum. The format for this forum will be as follows. Candidates were sent a list of potential questions in advance. We will random draw the questions, asking as many as we have time for, with the understanding that I, as the moderator, have the discretion to ask one additional question if I choose. To our live audience in attendance, thank you for being here. We will not be taking audience questions, so we do encourage you to reach out to candidates individually if we do not address topics for which you would like more information. We do also ask that our in-person audience at City Hall please respect each of our candidates and our streaming viewers by refraining from noises and remarks that will disrupt the format and detract from the ability to meet each of our candidates. Each candidate will receive 2 minutes for introductions and opening remarks, 2 minutes to respond to each question, 90 seconds for closing comments. With 30 seconds remaining in each candidate's allotted response time, the timekeeper will hold up a yellow card. Can you hold up the yellow card? Thank you. And when time has expired, they will hold up a red card. If you continue past your allotted time, I will ask you to finish your statement. With each new question, we will start with the next candidate in a clockwise rotation. Each question will be directed to all candidates. This is a forum, not a debate. We do recommend that you use your allotted time to answer the questions as they relate to you and your candidacy and not comment or respond to another candidate's answers. We also ask that you respect each candidate in their allotted time and do not make comments during or directly following their answer period. This forum is intended to get to know each of you, why you want to serve our community, and your perspective on the questions asked. And my first question is, are there any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. If not, let's get started with opening remarks. Each candidate will have 2 minutes for their opening remark. Let's begin with Andy Lundblad.
Thanks, Brian, members of the district and chamber members. My name is Andy Lundblad. My wife, Chris, and I have lived in Lakeville for over 22 years. Both of our children attended Lakeville area schools, from Small Wonders Preschool to recently graduating from Lakeville South. So we've seen firsthand the tremendous benefit and value of a Lakeville area school's education. In fact, both of my children are now well-adjusted young adults, and more importantly, kind, caring, and really hardworking people. And that's a direct result of their Lakeville area schools' education, experiences, and especially their teachers. I'm excited now because I have a niece in the district at Cherryview, which creates an even stronger connection to our schools. My qualifications align really well with back up a second. So I'm running for school board because of that tremendous experience that my family and I have had in Lakeville schools, and I want to express my gratitude and give back to our schools, community, and our students through my values-based leadership. Now my qualifications. They align really well with the roles and responsibilities of a school board member, through my many years of leadership with U.S. Bank, with Visa, and now as a senior director at United Healthcare. I have many years of policy and governance experience, tremendous amount of financial management experience and skills, having worked with large corporate banking customers, complex department budgets, and a term as treasurer at St. John's Lutheran Church here in Lakeville. I now lead diverse global security and risk management teams at United Healthcare, which gives me unique insight into global workforce trends and talent. And I'll bring that back to Lakeville to help all of our students succeed. So my goal is to build on our strong foundation that we have in Lakeville through three primary areas of focus: inspiring, elevating, and empowering all students where safety is a prerequisite, and appreciating and valuing our trusted teachers and staff, and investing our taxpayer dollars wisely. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kim Baker.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you to the Lakeville Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event, Brian Knapp for moderating, and to Lakeville citizens present and watching online. My name is Kim Baker, and I'm a parent of 3 children currently attending Lakeville schools. As a family, we moved to Lakeville 12 years ago based on the special education programming that was offered. I became involved advocating and volunteering within the district over 10 years ago through attending school board meetings and addressing the board, being a part of the Special Education Advisory Council, and representing both families and teachers as a special education parent liaison. One priority that I have and will continue to advocate for is implementing inclusive practices within our schools and supporting an inclusive school culture. Inclusion is not a place or a term for special education. It is how we treat one another and should be at the forefront of every decision we make from the top down. My second priority is maintaining our current programming and managing the growth that our school district is experiencing. Finally, our community has experienced a divide the last few years. As a liaison, I am well-versed in bringing people together to make decisions based on meeting the needs of our students. I want to see our community come together and support our students and staff. I am a public school teacher and have devoted my entire career to serving students and the community. I understand the daily responsibilities of the classroom, the curriculum, the laws around education, and the level of commitment, sacrifice, and heart that it takes to teach in a classroom every day. I have continually served Lakeville schools, students, and staff through my advocacy work and would be honored to serve in the capacity as a newly elected board member. And I just want to add to my colleagues, Happy World Teachers Day.
Thank you, Kim. Next, Bree Schindley.
Thank you. Chamber members, members of the community, and fellow school board candidates, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight to bring awareness to key issues that affect both our school as well as our community. My husband Nick and I have lived in Lakeville for 8 years. I am a mother of 4 kids in the district, a transportation driver to several different sports and music events, and an advocate for our community. I grew up nearly 400 miles north of here on a small farm and had a graduating class of 38. I have a master's in early childhood degree as well as a K-6 teaching license, and currently I am a owner and home daycare provider with a full preschool curriculum. Through my high school, college, and professional career, the importance of education has remained the same. In order to provide great employees and business owners in the community, the associated educational system needs to produce quality individuals to cover all forecasted demands. It is my hope in running for school board that I can provide an immediate positive impact on the student population, teachers, and the greater Lakeville area.
Thank you, Bree. Next, Brian Thompson.
Afternoon, Brian Thompson here. So here's what I'm for. Number one, parents on the board. I believe parents who have children in our schools bring the right perspective to the board. We're in the game, we're doing homework, and we're going to conferences. I've got 9th grade and 3rd grade conferences next week. So here's a fun fact that I always like to share. There's a 10-year difference between a 3rd grader and a freshman in college. And any academic professional can tell you that a lot can change in those 10-year spans. So even how we do math today is different from 10 years ago. In short, I believe the Lakeville School Board is currently missing our parent voices, and I hope that's something that can change. Number two, academic focus. The Minnesota Department of Education just released our Lakeville School Report Card. And yes, COVID did take a toll in our schools, and unfortunately, our results aren't very good. 43% of our students are not meeting math, 37% are not meeting reading, and 53% are not meeting science. And using simple average, 44% of our students may not be meeting state expectations. So imagine dropping off your 3rd grader at school. Either that student or the student next to that individual not meeting expectations. We've got a lot of work to do, and that's why we need to get back to the basics to refocus our efforts on academics. Number 3, defending our teachers. In today's educational climate, I feel that we may be asking a lot from our teachers, and it's time to reassess baseline expectations for our educational staff. In my profession, great managers defend their team to ensure that they have the capacity to do their job. So in this instance, if something is added to their plate, let's make sure we take something off their plate. And so in defending our team, it allows us to bring the best educational outcomes for our students. My name is Brian Thompson. I'm a Lakeville resident. I've got 2 kids in our schools. I stand for parents on the board, academic focus, and defending our teachers. And thank you for those who are here to listen to us.
Thank you, Brian. Carly Anderson.
Good evening. Thank you to the Lakeville Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity to connect with our business partners and community voters. And thank you to those who are here and tuning in this evening to learn more about our candidates. My name is Carly Anderson, and I'm a parent of 3 children in our district. My husband and I moved to Lakeville because of the strong public school system and are proud to send our children to Lakeville area schools. 2 years ago, I became an advocate in our community, aiming to make Lakeville more inclusive, a place where all people living here know they are seen, represented, and heard. I've connected with many of our community leaders during this time, always with the goal of gaining and sharing perspectives and developing relationships built on mutual respect, because I see that as central to moving our community forward together. I'm running for the school board to persist in this mission. I want to make sure that every student knows they belong and they have what they need to thrive in our schools. One of my key priorities is to prepare our learners for a global workforce. To me, this means making sure students recognize and appreciate all aspects of diversity, that they effectively communicate about complex issues and seek various perspectives, and that they work collaboratively with others of different backgrounds. Another key priority is addressing mental health, which necessitates improvement in both prevention and intervention strategies and resources. I'm particularly well prepared to address this issue in our district, given my profession as a clinical neuropsychologist and my experience in leadership. Additional priorities include fiscal responsibility and an aim to unify our learning community. All of these priorities have a direct impact on our business community. And I look forward to sharing my perspectives on these issues. At this time, we need collaborative leaders who are willing to work together effectively to understand the current issues, who will seek stakeholder input, research best practices, and develop solutions that can be monitored and modified as needed. I sincerely hope that our community elects me to serve in this role, as I'm confident that I have the skills and experience to be one of those leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. Marilee Jager.
Hi, thank you, Lakeville Area Chamber of Commerce, for putting on this forum. Thanks to everyone here tonight and for everyone who's watching. My name is Marilee Jager. I am a married mother of 2 children in Lakeville. I'm a vice president and commercial banker in a local bank here in Lakeville. I decided to run for school board because I was concerned about the quality of education over the last few years. I realized that distance learning wasn't working, and the effects are far and wide. I believe as a parent my concerns were not being taken seriously. Turns out student MCA competency scores are declining statewide. Lakeville School District specific ranking among 446 school districts in Minnesota slipped from 33rd to 68th place. I believe we can do better by refocusing education on the basics of academic excellence and by removing political agendas from our schools. The school board needs to listen to our community, including parents, teachers, and businesses. One way we can do this is by restoring public comment at our school board meetings. School boards need to provide policies which promote environments conducive to learning and to teaching. And they need to ensure that those policies are fairly and consistently applied across the district. If elected, I will use my board position to actively engage the community, listen to their concerns, promote transparency within the district, and make sure that my vote always stands for academic excellence. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilee. Kathy Lewis.
Thank you. Thank you to the Chamber for hosting this forum, and thank you to all of those who are here and who are watching. My husband, Dick, and I have 5 children, all Lakeville graduates, and 3 of those children live in our community with their families. We have 12 grandchildren, 9 of which are either graduated from Lakeville schools or are still attending or will be attending. I'm passionate about education. I know the benefits of what education can do for the individual, for the family, and definitely to build communities. My family has benefited from the programs that have been offered through the Lakeville schools, all the way from special education to AP classes and gifted and talented, as well as all of the fine arts programs through the sporting programs, and all have been benefited from being able to take advantage of these. Been educated at St. Catherine's and St. Scholastica's. I am a registered nurse and spent several years working as an ICU nurse, recently retired, and now I'm working for healthcare, public health. I'm very familiar with the district and communities and will continue to be a voice for our students, our parents and families, as well as other members of our communities who may not have children in school. I'm nonpartisan, open-minded, strategic, forward-thinking, and passionate about the benefits of the education. I'm an advocate for children and academic opportunities. I have leadership experience advocating for programs and opportunities and development for all students, balancing with responsible fiscal management of taxpayer dollars. I collaborate to develop consensus for board decisions, listening and bringing all voices together for solutions. My priorities are strategic, short-term, and long-term vision and planning for academic, career, and co-curricular opportunities for all students, school security and safety, quality educational and working environments. I'm focusing on also providing supports to address inclusion and mental health issues and learning needs, balancing all of this with fiscal oversight.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. So we're going to begin the question portion of our agenda tonight, and I'm going to draw a question, and we'll be getting answers with Kim Baker. And the topic regards connections. So you'll see the question on your screen here in a moment. I think. So I will read the question. Connections. Given that the Chamber is a business organization, tell us specifically about your connection to the local business community. If you need it repeated at some point, please ask.
As a Lakeville resident, I choose to shop local and support small business owners. I understand the importance of a strong business community and how it contributes to the success of our schools and community overall. Throughout my campaign, I have utilized local and small business owners to keep the money here in our local community. As a Lakeville resident that lives by Lakeville South High School, it has been exciting to watch the expansion to our industrial park and see the many new businesses that are popping up, bringing more jobs to the area. I understand the importance of balancing our residential growth and our business growth. As the city continues to expand, I believe more people will continue to seek out Lakeville as a place to raise their family, open a business, and find employment. We are a community with so much to offer, a small town feel with plenty of opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Bree Schindley.
After 10 years as an elementary teacher, I opened Little Tots Childcare, where I care for 12 children, along with having a core preschool curriculum to make sure all of my students are ready for their next step into kindergarten. My goal is to provide a safe learning environment with ample amounts of play to increase the children's imagination and creativity. I am also on the Lakeville Hockey Association board, where I am the communications director, and my husband is on the Lakeville South Football Association board as a level director. Being a business owner myself, providing for all the families that need childcare, which is in high demand, I'm finding I get calls quite frequently. So having that business and providing for Lakeville is really important.
Thank you, Bree. Brian Thompson.
Yes, our local businesses are a vital part of our community. And while I don't have a direct connection to those respective businesses, I live here, I work here, and I shop here. And I got my haircut here today at Great Clips. So there's a lot of opportunity for our community for growth in the business space. And so as we continue to grow, I look forward to enjoying those opportunities within our community.
Thank you, Brian. Carly Anderson.
Yeah, I do want to add that my husband and I and our kids go out to eat every Friday night somewhere in Lakeville, and so I could talk on and on about all the great restaurants that have been surfacing, which we really appreciate. I do want to highlight that Lakeville is a very rapidly growing community with shifting demographics. As we are leading from a growth perspective, I envision us as being a leader in community building. I think this means considering a global workforce and promoting a more inclusive community. As I have worked in the community, I've been learning a lot, connecting with a lot of our city leaders in government and businesses. I think when you bring thoughts, ideas, and people together, this creates space for creative and courageous conversations and discussion that leads to innovation. I believe that things that I've advocated for have had a downstream impact on our business community. By making Lakeville more inclusive and welcoming to people of all backgrounds, that should encourage people to engage in our community, ultimately keeping their business in Lakeville. So if we create a place where people want to come to, I think people will begin using more of our businesses. Things that I would like to leverage in the future. I do have a very strong background in mental health, as I mentioned earlier. Recently, I have been engaging with the Heritage Center to educate our seniors about brain health, dementia, and normal aging. I want to continue to do those kinds of things going forward, something I think could be really helpful if we get a chance to talk about how businesses are struggling with employees. How do you create inclusive cultures where people feel like they can be successful, where they feel like their mental health needs are addressed, and all of those kinds of things. So I do think I would like to have a notable impact there going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. Marilee Jager.
Thank you. I'm actively engaged in the business community as a vice president and business banker at a community bank here in Lakeville. In my role, I work with business owners from a wide variety of industries. I am active in our Chamber of Commerce and various civic organizations. During the pandemic, when there were mandatory shutdowns for businesses, I provided frontline support to them in terms of administering SBA's Paycheck Protection Program to hundreds of businesses in our community. I worked tirelessly to hear their concerns and help them through the struggles during a difficult time. The result of my involvement with the PPP program in our community was that many businesses got the funding that they needed to survive when they were forced to be closed. As a former business owner myself, I find it easy to relate to the business community. But most importantly, with a career in customer service, I am accustomed to listening to understand. This is a quality all leaders should possess, and this is one of the qualities that I bring to the table. I have a strong work ethic. I care about the stability of our businesses so that owners can provide for their families and contribute to the success of the community. I care about our school district for the same reasons. Teachers and staff rely on its success to provide for their families. Families rely on the schools to educate their children successfully. Together, it is our job as leaders to keep our community the best place to work, to live, to educate children, and to retire. The business community is a vital part of this equation. Collaboration is the key. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilee. Kathy Lewis.
Thank you. As a resident, my husband and I have been patrons of our local businesses, and we use local services. I also attend many of the chamber events when I can, and I support any of the initiatives that are coming forward, as well as the collaboration between the school district and the chamber for the programs. I am always concerned about how district issues affect our local business community, and I support the programs and connections. As a board member, I believe the educational needs of our community, our modern global society, are complex, diverse, and require each person to be able to be educated, to be able to take their place as a contributing member. I also have supported all of the school district programs, from their activities, fine arts, all the way to the sports, because I believe that using the facilities and the facilities that we have provided to the community will bring customers in to our businesses. It will also attract new residents and hopefully attract and support new businesses. I also have been excited to see the growth and variety of local businesses that have evolved over the years. Local businesses are the biggest supporters of our schools, programs, and sports, and we appreciate all that they do for our communities, and it is vital that we return to them by shopping and using their services.
Thank you, Kathy. Andy Lundblad.
Thank you. For over 22 years, myself and my family have intentionally shopped in Lakeville purchasing lawnmowers, snow blowers, going to local restaurants, which over the last 22 years, it's been nice to see that the growth in the restaurants where we don't have to leave Lakeville to go out to eat or to go now have coffee. So we're very intentional about that. We intentionally switched eye care clinics to come to Lakeville for a local eye care clinic. And one of the biggest life purchases we've ever made was with a local builder here, Country Joe Homes, about 6 years ago. So again, we intentionally made that purchase through that building process with the local builder. From a less personal perspective, here in Lakeville, my professional role, I lead global teams, global diverse teams in the US, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Peru, the Philippines, and Portugal. So every day I get to see what that global workforce looks like, the trends and the talent that are needed to attract and retain employees. I can bring that global workforce perspective to Lakeville to not only help our students, but also to help local businesses match the talent with what's happening in that Generation Z and that up-and-coming emerging workforce.
Thank you, Andy. So our next question will be about workforce. As Lakeville businesses grow, they continue to struggle to find employees to fill their workforce needs. What, if anything, can be changed or improved in the curriculum to better educate students and families about current and future in-demand careers and provide opportunities which equip them with the skills needed to be successful in those industries? And we will begin this round with Bree Schindley.
Thank you. There are several ways to increase the drive toward local employment needs. It starts with matching the needs of the student with the end goal of where we need them in the community, state, and our country. Over the last 20 years, we have seen shortages of everything from doctors to cab drivers. The changes to the curriculum often lag too far behind any job necessity to make adjustments quickly. Therefore, I would recommend that we have a special committee that meets on quarterly basis to round out the current needs of Lakeville in the next 48 months. Once those future needs are agreed upon by the committee, the school board and administration can work together to formulate any adjustments needed to make these demands. The next step is to identify those students who would thrive in these upcoming workforce gaps, to then finally place those students in the corresponding programs or class to help them realize their best potential talent to strengthen the business presence in Lakeville. Thank you.
Thank you, Bree. Brian Thompson.
Yeah, this is a great question, and it does feel like a lot of companies are having challenges finding employees. And I'd like to learn more. I mean, are we struggling to find employees because there's not enough people? Are we struggling to find them because there's not enough qualified people? Is the compensation not aligned, or is the role itself not a good match for the individuals? So what I do know is that when I hire individuals to join our strategy teams, we like to follow this model called the GWC. And does a person get it? Does a person want it? And do they have the capacity to do the job? And it's hard to quantify if a person gets it. And are they resourceful? Are they resilient? Do they understand how to connect things? And if a person doesn't want it, maybe they're not a good hire. But if a person gets it and they want it and they don't have the capacity to do the job, this is where we as a leadership team need to decide, do we have the capacity to train that individual so that they can be successful? And finding talent who get it and they want it are those intangible skills that make the learning of the job that much easier. Now, as a school, how can we foster an environment where we can help individuals and our students where they can start to connect pieces together? They connect the dots, they're resourceful, they're resilient, and they have a very positive growth mindset. These intangibles would be great assets for any organization, and it would be beneficial in helping our students become more successful in their path that they choose. Now, as a school board, we only have one employee, and that's the superintendent. And so in my years of corporate leadership, it's the culture and the expectations start from the top. So our superintendent's leadership role, leadership shadow, extends far and wide. And we need, and that individual also sets the tone for our schools. So it's important that our superintendent understands our community's vision, the value of our partnership with our business community, and to help to create a culture where a growth mindset is within our schools.
Thank you, Brian. Carly Anderson.
Thank you. To solve a workforce shortage, we need to continue to build a strong connection between the business community and the district to attract workers to Lakeville. I strongly believe that when students have direct contact and exposure to jobs, they are more likely to consider pursuing them in the long term. I fully support the work experience program where students can earn academic credit while being employed by a local business. This experiential learning program is something ISD 194 could consider growing to foster career exploration and skills training for our students. I also see the potential for collaboration between the district and business economy to become even more mutually beneficial. One way to achieve this would be to establish a real-time data exchange, whereby schools start sharing information about student interests with businesses, allowing those businesses to target specific students for potential employment. This could foster more meaningful connections between students and businesses through targeted mentorship or job shadowing. I continue to advocate for preparing our students for the 21st century global workforce. We need to also support a strong local economy. A recent study by the University of Minnesota and the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce shows our population is growing older and becoming more diverse. To embrace these changes, we need a school district ready and able to offer a high-quality education to students of diverse backgrounds. We similarly need our local businesses to work to hire and retain staff that represent our diversifying community. Thank you.
Thank you. Marilee.
Thank you. I think we can all agree not all students are cut out for a four-year degree. Not all students even desire that path. We need to do a better job of explaining the benefits and the costs of an ongoing education versus employment immediately after high school, both to students and to families. We need to continue to give business leaders access to students to inform them of the opportunities that are out there in terms of careers and compensation, the pathways to obtain certain positions as well. I was a career speaker as part of our district's Career Pathways program, and I think that we need to do more of that in our schools. My experience has been that the teachers appreciate this collaboration as well. We should encourage our children to discover areas that allow them to have their own success story. For this reason, I support ongoing mentorship programs between the business leaders and our students. I also support programs like Lakeville Works, where kids can get hands-on experience within industries of their interest prior to graduation. Students might have a misconception about what it's like to work in an industrial plant. They might be unaware of the advanced technology that has evolved and changed since maybe their parents were in that same career. I've been to a lot of plants in our industrial park. I can attest to that they provide good jobs in a clean environment. But without being there firsthand, how would a student or a teacher for that matter, or a parent, understand that these opportunities exist? I mean, we don't know what we don't know. This is why I think these types of partnerships are invaluable. They provide pathways to careers that students and families would otherwise not know exist. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilee. Kathy Lewis.
Thank you. The district needs to continue seeking input and engagement from our businesses to help determine the need, the skills, and programming to fill the needs. We had BTD that donated a laser cutter a while back to help train our teacher and students on how to use it. I think that there are so many programs that the Chamber and the district are collaborating on. Future 101, Lakeville Works, the business and medical academies, some STEM programs that are trying to address these needs. I think that these programs can be added to, especially in the high school, though. There's a limit of a 6-period day, which is another issue we can talk about at a different time that I think also can be of a concern in being able to add additional programs. But needing to have the input of the businesses as to what they need, exposing the children to these needs and their families can help to educate and prepare our kids for careers, whether it's going to college, trade school, the military, the world of work. I think that's all important to do in working with our business community.
Thank you, Kathy. Andy Lundblad.
Thank you. Because the question specifically mentioned curriculum, I think the starting point is to have a conversation and collaboration with the superintendent, the executive director of teaching and learning, and as well as the business leaders to say, how can we, if we're going to change curriculum, we need to do it in that collaborative area, because Policy Group 600 talks about curriculum development, and that really is on the superintendent, but we can certainly partner with all stakeholders to determine what changes need to be made. We also know that studies have shown that the skills that are needed in whatever subject matter is being taught in the schools, the leadership, the development, the decision-making, curiosity, creativity, peer support, time management type skills, those transcend any subject, and those need to be reinforced as skills that are going to be taken after school into whatever career path is chosen. So I think we need to reinforce that. We also need to look at the generation that's coming out of high school now. What are their needs? We talked about work-life balance. That's important to the up-and-coming workforce generation, telecommuting, training, skills development, career development. So we need to make sure that we're matching what the business needs are with what's coming up in that emerging workforce. And then I think just from a curriculum perspective, we have a great community education area. And so we have, from even in elementary school, we have chess, drama clubs, Spanish language, robotics, and STEM. That extends into middle school programs. So I think we can take a look at community education and where that can be built out to match the workforce needs as well.
Thank you, Andy. Kim Baker.
Thank you. Skilled trade jobs are in demand in the state of Minnesota, but students are not always looking at these careers as a first choice. The average starting salary of a skilled trade job is approximately $45,000, with over 8,000 jobs projected to be available in Minnesota over the next 10 years. Demand is high, and students need opportunities in school to explore and learn about trade careers. We need to continue to increase our trade educational programming options and invest in keeping our equipment updated so students have a realistic experience with what they would encounter in the field. For businesses to find employees, we need to ensure that we are preparing all students for life after graduation, whether that be seeking employment, attending a community college, or attending a four-year university. Our educational programs should meet the needs of a diverse student population. Our high schools offer AP courses, STEM programming, and a wide variety of elective courses. Students can take online classes through Link K-12 or can take a college class through PSEO. One program that I would like to see return to Lakeville schools is MinCaps. MinCaps is a profession-based program in which students have the opportunity to work in real-world settings. Some of the different professional pathways include education, business, marketing, design, trades, and medical fields. We need to continue to grow the connections we have with the business community in Lakeville to provide our students opportunities to explore their interests and receive on-the-job training and experience.
Thank you, Kim. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the following question.
I think
We miss Bree.
Oh,
Nope, I was first.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry.
we're good. Being confused.
thank you for
Trying.
asking that question, though. Okay, the keyword for the next question is partnerships. And you'll see the question before you. So Lakeville area schools and the Lakeville Chamber have maintained a strong partnership to assist our students with exposure to post-high school opportunities and workforce readiness through programs such as Lakeville Works, Youth Skills Training, and Future 101, to name just a few, and many of you have. What do you see as the role of the school board, if any, to support this business and education partnership? And we're going to begin this round with Brian Thompson.
Great. Yeah, I appreciate these programs, and they provide an opportunity for our students to learn more about different pathways post-at graduation. But I want to be mindful that we're not only doing programs that guide our students towards certain tracks, whether it be an employee track, a military track, a college track, or a trade track. So I'd like to share a little story. My son over the summer got a job at Chick-fil-A, making $9.50 an hour. And he refed over the summer as well for youth soccer games, making $40 an hour. So he's like, Dad, why am I working at Chick-fil-A when I can make so much more money as a soccer referee? Well, as a soccer referee, you're an independent contractor. You work for yourself. You get to pick the hours that you want to work, but it's not consistent. At Chick-fil-A, your hours are a bit more consistent. You may not get paid as much, and you're an employee. So there's a pros and cons for both. Now, I also often tell my son, Charlie, who's a 9th grader at Lakeville South, as you learn more throughout life and you go through high school, a key question to ask yourself as it goes by, do you want a good job or do you want to be a provider of good jobs? Because that's two different mindsets. And so, the global workforce is evolving. The gig economy is increasing. The types of jobs that are out there are vastly different from what they were maybe 10 to 20 years ago. You can start a business tomorrow. You can buy products in overseas. You can fire up a website. You can start a YouTube channel. You can build a mobile app or start a podcast. So I guess where I'd like us to do is to think bigger, to think larger. I mean, while there are traditional routes that we can take, and individuals can be successful in non-traditional routes. So as a parent, These are the conversations that I have with my son and his friends. And that's why having parents on the board gives us a unique perspective to ensure that we're current with today's business landscape and provide a voice for parents on what they think.
Brian, Carly Anderson.
Thank you. I see the role of the school board as very important for continuing to foster this collaborative and mutually beneficial relationship. For our students to be successful, they need to be aware of the multiple options they can pursue after graduation, not just higher education, but also opportunities for certificate programs or to enter the workforce directly through apprenticeships. A number of published public interest surveys have shown that the perception of trade schools has improved in recent years. So the continuation of programs like Lakeville Works and the Work Experience Program is not only ideal, but it's critical to our community's economic growth. I'm incredibly supportive of bringing real-life learning and on-the-job skill development directly into the classroom and would like to see those opportunities grow. I appreciate very much, I checked it out today, that there is a one-stop shop website for students to access job openings and internship opportunities, and absolutely feel this should continue to keep as many people employed locally as possible. I also see strong ties and the need for continued collaboration between the district, our community education program, and the business community. We need to ensure that we are offering quality, affordable childcare so parents have the support that they need to stay in the workforce. I see the ongoing partnership as integral to ensuring the future success of our students and benefiting our business community. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. Marilee Jager.
Community partnerships should enhance existing school learning models and help fill in the gaps based on the needs of the school, but also opportunities that exist within our community. To do this, we need honest dialogue between the business community and the school district regarding the specific skill sets that may be missing or lacking from our graduates, including critical thinking, accountability, mutual respect, as well as math, reading, science, and technical skills. If we want to show our students the path to independence, we need to equip them with the skills for independence. As a chamber volunteer, a banker in this community, and a parent of students at ISD 194, I value the importance of the business community being engaged in our school district. Examples of this are the school's career pathways program connection with the chamber. I participated in this program as a career speaker at Century Middle School, and I support partnerships like this now and into the future. Another example, and this is an important one, are the many academic scholarships and civic academic scholarships that our business people, our business owners and leaders, and our civic organizations provide for our students. Board members absolutely set the tone with regard to maintaining healthy relationships, not only with the superintendent, but the community at large, and that includes businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilee. Kathy Lewis.
Thank you for the question. These programs have been very advantageous to our students, our businesses, and our communities. I appreciate the support that the Chamber gives to the students in the school district. The role of the board is to provide resources and programming to support these and other programs that provide exposure to the opportunities and the workforce needs. Expanding mentorships, providing apprenticeships, that provide exposure and experience as well as credit and possibly dual credits that can be supported by the board. I would support resources for a new, larger area learning center in combination with a career and tech center. Strengthening the mentorship and involvement of the business community would benefit students, opening up pathways that students may not have considered. The board should encourage our administration to find ways to provide education and credits outside of the walls of our schools. The more real the life experiences that our students are able to be a part of, the more opportunities they will see for themselves when they graduate. And I really do appreciate the support the Chamber gives to the students in the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Andy Lundblad.
Thank you. The short answer to the question is to continue the win-win partnership between the schools and the Chamber. I attended the Future 101 session on Monday, which was a great event, great turnout. And I attended the in-demand career, or one of the breakout session was the in-demand careers. And so the panel of some of the Chamber members were there. Great conversation, great back and forth. And some of the innovative ideas such as job shadowing and open house for the local businesses to expose the students to something that they might not otherwise be aware of. So I think expanding those types of programs and that partnership with the Chamber, that really reinforces the mission of student readiness for the Lakeville schools. The other thing that comes to mind is the Lakeville Works and the mentoring and training and development programs there. That partnership should be strengthened as well, and those opportunities should be taken advantage of. I see that on a daily basis on my teams where we do the daily work that we have to get done, but we're very intentional about training, development, creating development plans, creating career paths, and so it's very successful. So when you do it intentionally, that benefits the student and it'll benefit the business community as well.
Thank you, Andy. Kim Baker.
Thank you. In 2020, Lakeville Area Schools was awarded a grant through the Minnesota Department of Labor and Industry. From this grant, the district, in collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce, created the Youth Skills Training Program. I witnessed firsthand the benefit of this program last year when my son Shane participated in it. Shane is a hands-on learner and has shown interest in trades such as woodworking, welding, and programming, to name a few. After being recommended for the program by his teacher, he worked on developing a resume and preparing for an interview. He interviewed and met in person with the manager at Delmar Company in Lakeville and worked there for the entire second semester of the school year. My son Shane has a disability, and Delmar and its employees supported him every step of the way. He grew in his confidence and his skill set with learning on the job. He loved working there, and I am forever grateful for Delmar for believing in my son. This is exactly the type of experience that students need, opportunities to explore their interests and see how these interests can apply to employment. As this program gains momentum, I would like to see more businesses participate so we can expand the options available to students. I see the role of the school board to encourage and support these programs and to continue to build a strong relationship with the business community. One of the ways the school board can build awareness and support for this program is to invite staff members and students working within this program to present at school board meetings to provide updates and information about the program. Our community needs to know the wonderful things that are happening.
Thank you, Kim. Bree Schindley.
Thank you. At the time that my husband and I grew up in a small school in northern Minnesota, it was the ability of the school to work with local farmers to keep both school and work on a parallel priority. The school changed sports practices and allowed afternoon absences to make sure students completed their school-based tasks while still having time to help their family farm or other farms to plant or harvest their crops in a timely manner. It is this level of involvement that I think the school district should have with every community. It should be a continuous conversation to stay ahead of the job market, as well as identify new opportunities and course content to better educate tomorrow's workers. Job shadowing was a key component while I was a student in high school. It gave me the opportunity to experiment with areas that I was interested in. Once I was able to job shadow someone in a field of interest, I quickly found out that it maybe didn't suit what I wanted to do once I graduated, but after I experienced several different fields, I had a clear-cut vision of the path I wanted to take. Providing these opportunities in all areas of the workforce can be very beneficial, not only for our students, but for our local businesses as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Bree. So each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer the following question, and the topic is residential growth. As Lakeville continues to lead the state in residential growth, we will need to make decisions on education spending to meet the increased enrollment. How would you balance the need for more classrooms, programming, and amenities with current spending priorities? And we're going to begin this round with Carly. Yeah, thank you.
I don't have to go first, but. So yeah, we are in a bit of a complicated situation in terms of our growth and how we can accommodate that. Lakeville has risen to date, Lakeville has risen to meet the need of the growth in our community, and we will need to continue to work with experts to address growth projections and help us plan for the future. One area of concern I saw in the newspaper, I think it was back in March, is the consecutive years we have and will continue to be dipping into our reserve funds with projections that we may drop below the critical level by 2026. Because of this, we will need to be creative and consider various options to maintain fiscal responsibility. We have an expensive model here in Lakeville with having so many facilities, so having 2 high schools, 3 middle schools, I think it's 9 elementary schools, a lot of elementary schools. This affords our students more opportunities, but we have to be thoughtful about how we continue to support this model. I think this will require a multifaceted approach. Keeping public schools strong has to be a key priority to enhance enrollment. Maximize the resources at our disposal. So are we effectively using the space that we have? And then I think we do need to take a careful lens and review our project pipeline. So some schools have things coming that maybe are more wants than needs, and taking a key look at that and from a different lens. So part of being fiscally responsible is knowing how to balance the wants and the needs, and this is a hard thing to manage with our community broadly, but in these times when we are dealing with inflation and funds are limited, we just need to take a closer eye. I appreciate all the work that Bill Holmgren does in terms of maintaining solid bond rates. We need to balance price with quality going forward and relook at who we're partnering with on some of our projects. And then also just be open to creative solutions from our administration. So work collaboratively with them to support their initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Lee Jager.
Thanks. Generally speaking, our city is excellent at forecasting residential growth based on housing starts and new developments. The district must work closely with the city of Lakeville in order to plan for our future. We need to get ahead of the curve, giving us time to plan, budget, finance, and construct when needed. I'm sure we're all concerned with all of the new houses popping up, wondering, have we prepared well enough for the increased enrollment that goes with it? Do we have enough facility space or teaching staff to provide the proper class sizes? Yes, more students means more dollars for the district, absolutely. But unfortunately, we have to build and plan before the kids arrive. Last time we had a referendum, it barely passed, by the hair of its chinny chin chin, actually. So I know that there are no guarantees that the next one will pass. Will the community support it amid the current inflation that we're all experiencing? Either way, we absolutely need to be fiscally responsible with the funds that we do have. At the end of the day, I think it will be imperative that the board has open and honest conversations with the superintendent. And the school superintendent will need to be proactive in providing the board the necessary data to make the right decisions in terms of how to best support this growth that we're seeing. As a board, we have to be brave in regularly asking ourselves, are we spending money where we ought to be? Are we getting kids the educational experience that they deserve? Are we a competitive employer that attracts the best teachers? I believe transparency helps us all make the right decisions in any circumstance. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Kathy Lewis.
Thank you for the question. Every budget is evaluated for the most useful, efficient use of resources, whether that's personnel, spaces, technology, facilities, taxpayer support, and so on. As the district continues to attract more students and families, it is a reality that the administration and the board constantly deals with. Need, data, and the burden are operative principles for me. Our administration works carefully with our cities and townships to stay updated on the growth so that we can do the best possible with long-term planning and classroom space. Regular review and updating of the programs is necessary because it is important to make sure we are prioritizing our funding into programs that are current and not outdated. Our district amenities and facilities are also used by the community members and groups. We are proud that we can build spaces for students during the day and save our communities time and money by opening our buildings up to them during the evening and weekends. Ultimately, this saves others from having to provide space, and our families spend less time traveling outside of their home communities. Communication and community engagement is necessary to make sure that we are meeting the school needs as well as the needs of the community. However, when opening a facility or expanding one, it is absolutely crucial to have a threshold of having an appropriate number of students in the facility. That requires planning. Since operating a building, paying for the technology, the expenses, those dollars come from the operating fund, we need to track that very, very closely. The board works closely with our financial planner to structure bond referendums and the timing of the bonds. For example, the length of the bonds and when the schools were built has kept taxes moderate compared to many districts. Some of those school bonds will be paid off as others will be needed for future facilities. That will help to keep taxes steady. That isn't luck, it's planned. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Andy Lundblad.
Thank you. I think we need to ensure the spending priorities continue to align with student success and readiness goals that we have, and that includes workforce needs as well. And I think there's a multi-tiered approach that can be taken. So you can look at low or no cost options like classroom design and configuration that supports collaboration and maybe project-based learning. So I think there's minimal investment that can be made to achieve some of the goals there. I think there are programming considerations, and that doesn't necessarily need to cost anything either. We can supplement the community education opportunities, which are self-sustaining through a fee-based structure, and that benefits elementary, middle school, and high school students. And then I think we have to take a hard look at facilities, and when it comes to an operating or a capital levy, I think we just have to be transparent and plan well for what we think that future will hold. I think back when Lakeville South was opened, and yeah, there was a tremendous cost to that, but that doubled the opportunities that our students had in the district. And so, again, that was an investment we made, and there was a distinct return on that investment. We have a new pool, we're going to get a new elementary school, and I think those are investments and costs, but there's going to be a return on that that's going to benefit the students and benefit the community as well. But I think we do need to be very transparent around what those investment decisions are going to be and be very informed, because there's going to be trade-offs. If we don't make those investments, what is the trade-off? And so then that's larger class sizes. Maybe the technology doesn't keep pace, or maybe there's less security because of the lack of investment there. So we have a saying at work that applies to a lot of the risk management work I do, but I think it really applies anywhere. And it's, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. So let's continue to plan and plan for the future so we can continue to get better.
Thank you, Andy. Kim Baker.
Thank you. Lakeville is experiencing a period of rapid growth, creating an issue with space within our current buildings. Many schools have already had additions built on to accommodate for this growth. The district has redesigned some spaces in current buildings to allow for more classroom space. For example, at Crystal Lake, the commons area was redesigned to allow for 2 more classrooms. As the district continues to grow, we may need to redesign more spaces within buildings to provide additional classroom space. Building a new school takes time, with finding land, planning, and developing the school. At this time, residential growth is occurring so rapidly that the school district cannot keep up. We are already experiencing buildings that are reaching capacity. The district continues to monitor open enrollment and place caps on specific grade levels to help ease the burden of growth. By the time the new elementary is completed, we will need to look at possibly a new middle school or high school. Our ALC campus provides students additional academic and mental health support and is currently not big enough to accommodate the students who need that level of service. The ALC program desperately needs a new facility as well. The school board is continually revisiting the long-term goals of building more schools and adjusting plans as needed. With the added burden of growth, it is more fiscally responsible to focus on maintaining our current programming. I do see the benefit of adding programs and amenities, but our focus now should be on the space we have available and budgeting for expenses related to increased enrollment.
Thank you, Kim. Bree Schindley.
Thank you. We have to walk before we can run. Point being is we need to make sure all current business needs are met for the district before we can take action on a growth plan. The largest draw to the Lakeville area is the school system, so that marquee quality must be sustained. Concurrently, a growth plan should follow suit as long as a sustainment plan is in place. Infrastructure, brick and mortar, teachers, and programs all need to fall in alignment with the community's needs, but there should be a fair amount of give and take with the city council as well. If the city were to bring in 10,000 children through the course of the year without the school board in tow, the results would be catastrophic. On the other hand, incur a greater cost than what's needed, we are then placing that very large burden on the existing taxpayers. Partnership with the cities and the school district is important to help understand the future plans for construction growth and the educational need. Lakeville is the 30th fastest growing city in the country and the 7th largest city in the metro, all while still having roughly a quarter of the land left to develop. Through these uncertain economic times, communication between both entities is crucial to both sustain and then grow our great city. Thank you.
Thank you. And to end this round, Brian Thompson.
Yeah. So I've been very fortunate to hold some variety of leadership roles working for large enterprises. Formerly a technology chief of staff for a large healthcare company. We managed 2,300 people overseas, onshore, $300 million budget. So I understand forecasting, hard and soft cost savings, resource reallocation and delivering on operational excellence. And you're right. I mean, our schools will have to make some significant decisions over the next 2 to 3 years. We manage a $230 million budget. We employ 1,300 employees, and we educate 11,800 students. And these are some pretty big responsibilities. So here are a few things that we should think about. Number one, our budget. In 2016, our general budget, which is the fund that is used to deliver our educational services, was about $117 million. In 2022, that budget now is $178, and that's a 50% increase over the past 6 years. Number two, our students. In 2016, we had about 10,999 students, and in 2022, we'll have about 11,800. That's only a 7% increase. So we added 800 more students over the past 6 years, and our budget went up $60 million. Now, I don't have all the numbers, but this is what I read. Number three, our growth. We are projected to add an additional 1,000 more students over the next 5 years. While we are building an elementary school, and that's in progress, an elementary school is only going to hold like 500-600 students or so. And we don't know if all these 1,000 students are going to be elementary students. So we do have a gap right now, and these are some difficult conversations that we'll need to have. Do we need to update boundaries? Do we need to increase additional buildings and remodel? How do we maintain and minimize our class sizes? Where's the additional funding coming from? These are the conversations that we'll need to have over the next couple of years, probably very soon. But what I do know is that we do need to make sure that academics stay in the forefront of these conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. So our fifth question, which each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer, and we'll be beginning with Mary Lee Jaeger, regards business relationships. The health and strength of our schools are a strong determinant when businesses are considering building in or relocating to Lakeville. It is important to the businesses represented by the Chamber that we maintain open and regular communication with key leaders, staff, and the school board of Lakeville area schools. What do you view as the school board's role in the relationship with the Lakeville business community? And we'll begin again with Mary Lee.
The business community is an important part of the school board's constituency. Board members should be actively engaging with business leaders in their community through civic organizations such as the Chamber and active one-on-ones with local business leaders. As a commercial banker in Lakeville, this is something I'm very comfortable doing. I've fostered relationships throughout our community, and I'm actively involved in our chamber. The State of the Schools is an important event which brings school leaders together with the community and business leaders, and I attend it annually. But I think it would be great for the district to have periodic forums or stakeholder sessions specifically with the business community in mind so that they can take a pulse on the relationship on how schools are doing in terms of preparing our students. On another note, as a business person in Lakeville, I know our community does a lot for our school district in terms of monetarily supporting many programs. As a school board member, I want the district and families to be able to easily understand the significant level of support from our local business leaders that's provided to our school district, with the hopes that we as a community would support our local businesses in return. This is how our schools, our community, and our economy rise together for success. To summarize, I do believe it's important for the board to engage with the business community and all stakeholders, like taxpayers and parents, given the amount of support that they regularly give our schools. As the saying goes, 2 heads are better than 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Lee. Kathy Lewis.
Thank you for the question. The board's role in the relationship with businesses is to be visible and actively engaged by participating in their events. I believe open and regular communication is critical for a healthy relationship. The board should expect our school leaders to be meeting regularly with chamber and business leaders to make sure we are staying up to date with workforce trends and needs and challenges of our businesses. I believe that open and healthy communication so that we can be aware of what the business needs are will help us to develop more programmings and more things that will expose our children and be beneficial to the business needs and to be beneficial to our businesses. It's also important not only for the district to understand what the businesses need, but also for the board, for the businesses to, it's also important for the district to not only understand what businesses need and where their priorities are, but it's also important to have that open communication with the businesses so that they can understand where the district is coming from too. So any way that we can possibly develop more lines of communication and more interest and expansion in that, I think that would be, I could really support that. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Andy Lundblad.
Thank you. I think the board's role is to be a key facilitator in that strategic partnership. I think we need to first ensure that our policies are not a barrier to open communications, but rather support that and advocate for communication across the stakeholder community, business community, parents, families. I think we need to build on the innovative programs like Future 101 and Lakeville Works. And I would say we've got a lot of committees, educational committees, special education advisory committees, teaching, learning, and advisory committees. I think we have an opportunity to create a joint advisory committee where the school board's involved, the superintendent, administration, staff, teachers, families, and the Chamber of Commerce and local businesses, so we can all come together and put some structure around. We talk about having open communication, regular communication. Well, let's put some structure around that. Let's put a plan around that, meet on a regular basis so we can match the needs of the businesses, match the needs of the families, and match the needs of the district as a whole.
Thank you, Andy. Kim Baker.
I think it is important for the Lakeville School Board to initiate and maintain a close working relationship with the Chamber and the Lakeville area business community. The programs that we have in place to support work-based community experiences show students the opportunities that are available within their own community and encourage students to return and work in the community where they grew up. To stay connected with the Chamber, I think it is important for at least one school board member on a rotating basis to attend Chamber meetings. This promotes communication and strengthens the relationship between the school and business community. Businesses in Lakeville have always been a strong supporter of Lakeville schools and the Lakeville area sports teams and other co-curricular activities. It is vital to acknowledge and recognize the importance of the business community, the support of our schools, students, teachers, staff, and coaches.
Thank you, Kim. Bree Schindley.
Thank you. The role of the school board should be part of the larger economic vision shared with the Chamber of Commerce, City Council, and the Mayor. Again, communication is key. A failure of the school system is a failure for the community, but the inverse is also true. A great school system is the epitome of a great community, and we collectively need to keep it that way. Formulation of focused programs on a demand basis will help to keep the school's curriculum on the cutting edge of what's needed in the community. The programs can be something that have been substantiated like Lakeville Works, but we also need to be open to other necessities along the way. Our lack of trades should warrant a greater emphasis on technical classroom learning. Staffing for these programs can come from existing teachers, but we should also look to bring in industry experts, and the Chamber is and will continue to be a great medium to provide such individuals.
Thank you, Bree. Brian Thompson.
Yeah, I also agree. I mean, I believe we need a strong partnership and continue to advocate for each other and maintain dialogue. Some of our students, they're going to make Lakeville their home, and some will have jobs here, or some will start their businesses here. So as our business community evolves, we need to be current. We need to understand what kind of skills are needed to be successful in today's landscape. So it's important that we stay connected. But right now, our academic report card, it's not super great, and that's why we need to make sure that we get back to the basics and focus on academics. While a good grade on paper shows our students may be learning and doing fantastic, we also need to establish a growth mindset. We want our businesses to know that when they get a Lakeville student, they're going to get individuals that are academically proficient, they are resilient, they're resourceful, they're initiative, they take initiative, they're creative, they think holistically, they connect dots, they're hard workers, they get it and they want it, and have the intangibles to learn and be successful.
Thank you, Brian. Carly Anderson.
Thank you. There are several excellent initiatives that connect Lakeville area schools to the business community already, and I believe the ongoing support of such programs is mutually beneficial. We need to continue to support and further develop programs that help us meet the diverse needs of individual students, like Ready, Set, Achieve, the Lakeville Area Learning Center, Special Education, AVID, English Learner Services, our gifted programs, Link 12, Community Education, as well as programming through the Chamber, such as Lakeville Works and Future 101. Through these and other efforts, we can ensure that all students have the opportunity to develop the skills they will need to thrive in a global workforce. Additional considerations, as I brought up earlier, were the kind of real-time data exchange whereby schools start sharing information about student interests with businesses, allowing those businesses to target specific students for employment. This could foster more meaningful connections between students and businesses through targeted mentorships or job shadowing. One thing that I really am hearing consistently, as I'm the last person to respond to this question, is just the importance of communication. And one thing that I saw recently was the City of Bloomington just, I think last week, had a meeting with the City Council and the school board. These are kinds of things that I think we could also incorporate the chamber with in terms of having those points of connection so that we're all able to educate each other around the things we're pursuing and have open lines of communication so that there's that transparency and connection where people can lead together. And I think one thing I do want to highlight is through some of the things that I've been doing in the community, I really have tried to connect with leaders in various positions, and I will continue to forge those kinds of relationships to better connect the district, the businesses, and the government entities. Thank you.
So thank you all for your answers to the 5 questions we were able to get to tonight. We'll move on to closing remarks. Is that all right?
No, that's fine. I just have to find my closing remarks.
Okay, there you go, since you'll be first. So each candidate will now have 90 seconds for closing remarks, and we'll begin our closing remarks with Kathy Lewis.
I want to thank the Chamber once again for hosting this forum. And I also want to thank all of my colleagues here who are running. I think it's great to have so many people that are interested in being on the school board. And I also want to thank the people who are in attendance and then also those who will be watching at home. I really appreciate the opportunity to participate in this forum and to be able to have the opportunity to answer these questions. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, I'm passionate about education and what it offers our children and builds our community. I'm a lifelong learner and strategic and always trying to improve my skills and knowledge. My guiding principle as a board member for Lakeville Area Schools is what's best for our children and the district. As I mentioned earlier, being the parent of 5 graduates and 12 grandchildren, 9 of which who have been or will be involved or are involved with the Lakeville schools, I really appreciate that the opportunities and the education that we offer. The board needs to reflect the community, and so I really appreciate having the focus of not only having raised these children through the schools, but also to have seen what they have need to continue to get them through college and then into their respective careers, both with my children and then with my grandchildren. My priorities are visioning and planning for short-term and long-term needs of the district and to expand educational and career opportunities for all students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Andy Lundblad.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks to the Chamber of Commerce, district residents, and viewers. So recently, I've been interviewing people for an open senior business analyst position on my team. And after an interview last week, I was filing the resume away with all my scribbled notes in the margins. And I started going through the stack of nearly 100 resumes of candidates who I've either interviewed or hired in just the last couple of years. And then my thoughts turned to this forum and to the chamber, and I'm sure many chamber members have experienced something very similar, having interviewed and hiring candidates and trying to find the right candidate. And now all of you are in that familiar position of interviewing all of us as candidates. And so that process is very challenging. There's a lot of uncertainty in that hiring process. So I wanted to take this opportunity to ensure the chamber, and ensure district residents and viewers that I'll be a candidate that you'll look back on and say, voting for Andy Lundblad was a great decision. And that's not just because my financial management, my policy and governance experience, my global workforce perspective, or my connection to Lakeville, but because everything I do is based on honesty, integrity, compassion, and humility. That's who I am as a person, who I am as a candidate, and who I will be as a school board member. So thanks for the opportunity, and I humbly and respectfully ask for your consideration and vote.
Thank you, Andy. Kim Baker.
Thank you again to the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event and for all the people involved that made this event possible. My work as an advocate for Lakeville schools has been a journey. I have found support and friendship through other parents, discovered the strength of our collective voice, and found the courage to positively advocate for change to support students at the local and state level. As an educator, one of the people I admire most is Mr. Rogers. His message of kindness is something we need more of in this world. I would like to share one of my favorite quotes from him. It's easy to say, it's not my child, not my community, not my world, not my problem. Then there are those who see the need and respond. I am a person who saw the need within my own school district and responded, and since that day, others have joined to support a vision of inclusion based on respect, kindness, and belonging. It is my experience as a special education teacher that makes me uniquely qualified to see and understand the diverse needs of our students and to support our teachers as someone who has also devoted my life to public education. Every teacher understands that when we open the door of our classroom on the first day of school, we are opening our hearts to welcome more children. I see this step of running for school board as opening my door a little bit wider to welcome a district full of students into my heart. I humbly ask for your vote to continue to serve on the school board for Lakeville area schools.
Thank you, Kim. Bree Schindley.
Thank you to the Chamber. Thank you for everyone here, and thank you to all of our viewers. I'd like to leave you today with hope. Hope that everyone has access to programs that every student that puts in an effort can experience what's to come. A hope that we can work together to instill a nurturing effect to businesses and students in a partnership that helps to build our community. I'm sorry, lost my spot. And hope that our community can retain its most prized possession, a state-leading educational machine that makes everyone want to live here. This is the reason that I moved here with my family and the reason why I'm pursuing a position on our Lakeville School Board. For my family, our frustration during the pandemic was a sense that parents were left out of the decision-making process. So ensuring parents have a seat at the table is very important to me. Also, being a very responsive school board member is key to success. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Bree. Brian Thompson.
Great. So again, here's what I stand for. Number one, parents on the board. I believe that parents who have children attending our schools bring the right perspective to the board. Parents, we're in the game and we're doing homework with our children. So here's a quick fun fact. We've got one school board member who will have an active student in our schools going into next year. So I believe parents who have children attending our schools is a strong prerequisite. Number two, academic focus. While our report card scores are low, and again, COVID played a huge part in that, we've got some work to do, and that's why we've got to get back to the basics. Now, we also have some external factors that have become passionate topics within our community, and while those topics do have value, it cannot reduce the focus of our primary objective, and that's reading, and that's writing, and that's math, and that's science. So let me be clear. Political matters do matter in life, but we are out of balance here in our schools and need to refocus on our academics, period. So number three, defend our teachers. I have connected with some great teachers in our community, and in today's climate, I think we're asking a lot from them. So I think it's an opportunity for us to reassess baseline expectations for our educational staff. So what's the takeaway? What do you need to know? Last November, a seventh seat on the school board was approved. And that means no more ties, decisions will be made, and a direction will be taken. So this November, the community, you get to pick 4 of us. And us 4 will more than likely will influence the direction of your schools. So it's important that you get to learn more about our community. I'd like to thank Brian and the Chamber. I'm Brian Thompson. I stand for parents on the board, academic focus, and defending our teachers.
Thank you, Brian. Carly Anderson.
Thank you to the Lakeville Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event, to Brian Knapp for moderating, and to my fellow candidates for participating, and to all of our viewers. We have navigated unprecedented challenges in our school community during the COVID-19 pandemic, and conversations with all of our stakeholders tell me that we continue to see the impact of the pandemic on academic, social, and emotional functioning of our students. We have a lot of work to do as a community to heal, but I also believe we have built skills and resilience during this time that will help us in the long term. Going forward, I want to make sure we address student success from a 360 perspective. We first need to make sure that our schools have positive, inclusive cultures where the unique backgrounds, perspectives of all students are valued and all kids have the tools they need to thrive. When issues arise related to social functioning and overall mental health, we need a system in place that addresses these problems swiftly and has the resources that are consistent and appropriate. One of my main priorities is to better unify our community. I envision a community where our students and parents feel their voices are heard and represented, teachers and staff feel supported, there are collaborative relationships between our school board and district leadership, and there are growing partnerships with our business community and city government. So much of this starts with effective communication, collaborative leadership, and a consistent refocusing of our energy on our top priority, which is our kids. I have a strong background in mental health and leadership to help us get there, and humbly ask for your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. Marilee Jager.
Thank you, Lakeville Chamber of Commerce, Brian, Krista, Colleen. I never thought I'd be in this position a year ago. As we know, over the last few years, academic outcomes have slipped, and if elected, I will be part of the solution. I will work hard. I will do my homework. I will be an advocate on the school board for the stakeholders served by our district, and that includes parents and the community at large. I will work to restore public comment to our school board meetings. I will promote parental engagement consistently across the district. I will promote increased transparency, including how the curriculum standards are being taught and the results of those curriculum standards in terms of assessing their effectiveness for our students. I will be fiscally responsible with your tax dollars to ensure the end result is academic excellence. I believe the board should pull items off the consent agenda and instead promote open and transparent discussion before voting. It's okay when we don't have a unanimous vote. In fact, that suggests we have leaders who are independent thinkers. With 7 board members, I would expect we're not going to agree on everything, but I think the meaningful discussion is of more value to all of us when we work together in the schools, whether we're on the board, we're a student, or a community member. I'm doing this because I care about our children. I'm doing this on behalf of the community. Lakeville schools have a history of providing a great public education, which has always been supported by our community. I will do my best to ensure this history continues. Just like you, I want Lakeville to remain a great place to live, work, grow up, and have our children come back and raise their families here too. Vote Marilee on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilee. Thank you all. On behalf of the businesses and residents of Lakeville and the Lakeville Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to once again thank each of the candidates for your desire to serve and for participating in this candidate forum. Thank you for sharing your perspectives and passions for service. It's really remarkable. We are blessed to have a wonderful slate of candidates for Independent School Board 194 Lakeville area schools. So thank you all for participating tonight. I would also Good
job, Brian.
I'd also like to thank the City of Lakeville and staff for use of the facility and recording our candidate forums. The Lakeville Chamber of Commerce is hosting 3 candidate forums this year, one for Lakeville City Council, one for Lakeville Independent School District 194 School Board, and a joint forum for Senate District 57 and House Districts 57A and 57B. Candidate forums are being conducted and broadcast live with rebroadcast on LGTV Channel 180 on Charter and on the City of Lakeville and Lakeville Chamber's YouTube channels. You may contact the Chamber at 952-469-2020 for the Chamber link. The Lakeville Chamber of Commerce has not and will not endorse any candidate in any election this year. On behalf of the Lakeville Chamber of Board of Directors, I want to thank you for watching, those watching at home, and please remember to cast your vote on November 8th. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Take care. Drive safely.
Thank you.
Thank you.